Hello. On this last unit of CD1, we're going to discuss how to develop a database and create a plan of action for every single file that you have. Actually, believe it or not, the process is not as hard as you think. It's pretty simple actually. Just divide them into 4 categories: potential business, actively looking, under contract, and past client. And if you want to still focus on refinance business, just simply put refinance. And that's it right there. Just as simple as that. Either 4 or 5 categories depending on how you want to structure your business. That's the easy part. Now, creating a plan of action. That takes a little bit more thought. And let's talk about some of the ways that we can do that. Everybody's approach is a little bit different. Some people are more hesitant on the phone. Now, my opinion is you need to break yourself of that if you're afraid of calling up people. But what you're going to find is that by calling people once every week, don't be annoying, don't call them every night, but by calling them once every week and giving them an email and then maybe a letter every couple weeks if you don't hear from them, that will create an opportunity for you to embed yourself in their mind as their loan guy. And I've had that happen a lot of times. I followed up with people, left them voicemails, sent them emails that they may or may not open up because I can look at that from my constant contact. But when the day comes and they need you, they'll remember you. Now, there's a lot of different ways to embed yourself. Some people will go ahead and mail them like a refrigerator magnet that they can stick on their refrigerator, things like that. I wouldn't waste a whole lot of time on those kind of marketing items. I would just simply send out emails, follow up with phone calls and voicemails, and then once they get their house sold and they're ready to move on and they're ready to start looking for a property, or if they've been looking for a property and now they need to get pre-qualified for a loan and you weren't able to get a hold of them before, now the golden moment happens where you can sit down at their dinner table and have a really good discussion with them. Also, you'll get a lot of people where you filled out a loan application, but then the deal went on ice for a month or two. And you should try to get all the information you can, but you know you're going to need new pay stubs, you know you're going to need some updated information, and that's okay. That's not a problem at all. Just make sure you get last year's taxes and the year before that if you can. Just try to get some bank statements if possible and then have them send you the updates. And also just try to get some employment slips just to make sure that their level of income is stable. And all these things will help make for a smoother transaction. Now, the plan of action, depending on what you're looking at doing, will be different according to each category. For potential business, just simply follow up once a week via phone call and email. For those that are actively looking, in that case, I would call them once a week. I would send them an email also, but what I would also do is I would do an update for the realtor just to let the realtor know every week what's happened on that file. And just simply anything you do to that person, just simply leave a note there for that week. I did this, this, and this, so that when you call the realtor, you have the privilege of telling the realtor what's going on with that file. Also, if anything momentous happens, like you say to the person, we got your loan locked today, everything went through perfectly, and we got you locked in for this %. At that point, you have a privilege of calling that customer too, and you can talk with them and you can generate more and more empathy with them. And it creates more opportunities for you to be able to go out there and to really just embed yourself and to stick yourself into that deal so that person won't stab you in the back. They won't sell you out. You'll be able to go ahead and lock down their business so that even if they see a TV commercial that says when lenders compete you win, or whenever they see a commercial saying we can close your file for $300 or whatever, they'll go, well, let's just stick with this guy. We know for sure what we got. He's been honest with us. He's been upright with us. And a lot of people, they might call you and say, well, I saw this commercial that said they'd do it for $394. Would you do that? And you just simply say, absolutely. Closing costs are flexible here. You may pay a higher percentage like you would at that place, but yeah, we can drop some of the origination fee for you. Just your interest rate will be a little bit higher like it would with that particular company you saw on TV. And a lot of times, if you give them the options, they'll usually stick with what you show them the first time because people tend to be lazy. And that's how we make our money. And if they do switch around some numbers on you and say, well, we don't want to pay anything on this origination fee, just say fine. And then just take them up on the back and make a little bit more there if you can. If you can't, just try to save as much potential revenue as you can. Now, for the past client, it's really, really simple. Everybody has these magical systems of being able to get past clients to give you tons and tons of business. Well, quite frankly, people only refinance every couple years. But where you're going to get your business at is being able to call the person and say, hey, listen, James, this is Erik, your loan officer. How are you doing? Great. Just wanted to do my monthly follow-up call and just see how everything's going for you guys. Okay. Just wanted to ask a question, and this is business related. I wanted to find out if you know anybody that's looking to buy, sell, or refinance their home from either your church group or your office or any of your friends that you know are looking to do something, either buying, selling, or refinancing a property. And a lot of times people will say, nope, don't know anybody. But that's okay. You still have the privilege of calling them once a month because they are your past clients. And what will also happen is these people, as you start cultivating them and training them to keep their ear out for it, they'll call you and say, hey, I know you called me a week or two ago asking me if I knew anybody that was looking to do something. Yeah, my brother-in-law, Bud, he has terrible credit, and he just got over a divorce, but he's looking to do this, this, and this. And a lot of times the people they hand you will not be strong candidates, but that's okay. You can still follow up with those people, and there is gold there. And that should be about 10% of your business. Some people would say, oh, referral should be half your business. I don't know if it'll ever be half of my business, but 10%, that's about realistic if you do constant follow-up. And that'll start to harvest itself at about 3 to 6 months of doing this. Also, what you'll discover is that as you follow up with people, more and more opportunities will arise for you to be able to hand off leads to your realtors. The people will say, yeah, my next door neighbor, she's looking at selling her house. Great. Do you have her name and phone number? No. What's her address? And I'll actually call the realtor and tell the realtor, hey, go out there. One of my past clients said their neighbor's looking to go list. And I met one really great lady realtor. She's real hungry. She'll actually go out there and knock the door. That takes guts. And I think she's going to go really, really far in the business. She's been at it for about 2 years, and I actually had that happen just the other day where somebody said my neighbor's going to go and list their property. They just haven't picked a realtor yet. She went out there. I don't know if she got the listing yet, but at least what it does is it creates some form of value for the realtor, showing that I'm looking out for their business too. Now, let's talk about flowcharts. Actually, the flowchart portion of it is very, very simple. Just simply call your processor and say, can you send me your flowchart for an average purchase and refinance deal? And most good processors will have a checklist. Just simply either type it into the computer and create it as a task-based work file, where in Act and Goldmine you can go ahead and create tasks that have to be completed and checked off. Or, if you're like me, you can actually just simply staple it to the front of the file, and as you finish each thing, just simply check it and date it as you go down each step. And then at the end of the week, you can call the realtor and the buyer and say, this is what we did this week. Boom, 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 boom. And that way you sound like you're on top of your business. And even if you feel like you're drowning underneath your wave of paperwork, they don't need to know that. As long as you sound like you're on top of it, and as long as you do what you say you're going to do, it doesn't matter personally if you feel like you're drowning. As far as they're concerned, you're on top of it, you're doing a great job, and you're going to get future business from that realtor, and that person very well might refer you to other realtors in their office who are looking for a good loan officer. Now let's go on and talk about the next aspect of this, how to get business in 2 weeks or less, and we'll talk about that on CD2, because quite frankly, you got to pay your bills. And let's teach you how to go out there, hustle up some business, and get your pipeline nice and fat really quickly.